acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Scott,
Present.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Here.
Commissioner Marecki,
Here.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Here.
Chair Varga.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item.
Item B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none today.
Item C, approval of the minutes of the March 23rd, 2021 meeting.
So
Move for
moved.
approval, Anderson.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any corrections, by the way? Any corrections? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
We move to item D under unfinished business. Item 1, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2021-35031, certifying revenue in the amount of $360,000 in the county park fund.
I will move for
Thank you.
approval.
Any discussion?
We're going to move to pass this for the day again.
Oh,
Okay. It's been moved to pass for the day by Commissioner Baydoun, supported by
Scott.
Commissioner
Oh, yeah.
Marecki. Scott? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay, it's been passed for the day. Next item.
Item E1, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2021-35-136, certifying revenue in the county in the COVID-19 fund. My apologies.
Thank you. Discussion.
I'll move approval for this.
Commissioner-
And I'll support it.
It's been moved and supported on, well, we'll take a record roll call. Any more
Commissioner-
discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga.
Yes,
Motion carries. Moving to item E2, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2021-35-026, certifying revenue in the COVID-19 fund.
any discussion? Martha G. Scott moves, supported by Commissioner Haddis. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock, Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving to item 3, requesting
Thank you.
commission approval of budget adjustment 2021-35-104, certifying revenue in the COVID-19 fund.
Discussion,
Move approval.
moved by Commissioner
Support.
Marecki.
No,
And
that was-
supported by
that was
Commissioner Martha
Scott.
G.
Yep.
Okay, Scott. It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga.
Yes,
Motion carries. Moving to item 4, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2021-35-027, reallocating expenditures in the COVID-19 fund.
discussion,
I will move for approval, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, question.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes, I wanted to
Commissioner
ask a
Anderson.
question, if someone can answer it. it looks like it's moving money from Meals on Wheels. And I'd like to know what is going to be left in that account, in the Meals on Wheels. I mean, that's a pretty sizable amount if I'm reading it correctly.
Could I get a response, please?
It's this Kamal Kepru, Finance Director. Give me a second. I'm scrolling down to that document.
Could you also move the agenda items up on the screen?
Sure.
It's item 4.
Yes,
Yes.
And I guess number 5 too. I know we're not on that one yet, but they seem to be tied together.
That's fine. We'll take a
Yeah.
motion for 4 and 5 together.
Move approval of 4 and 5.
Support.
Okay, after we get the response from,
I got it. Just the Zoom screen took over and moved my notes away. So I'm just going back to my note.
okay,
Okay, could you repeat your question, Commissioner? I got it now.
Yes. It appears as though we're taking money from Meals on Wheels. The recommendation of the administration to take number 4 says $418,918, and I just wanted to know how that's going to affect Meals on Wheels and why are we taking money from Meals on Wheels? And the second one, which is number 5, seems to be reallocating money. The 3232 looks like reallocating money to miscellaneous supplies.
Okay, yeah, the second one is just for technology, but I want to see if Miss Lisa Whitmore on the call, because you asked a pinpointed question about more so operational. So is Lisa Whitmore still on the call for the 418,000?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Director Keperu. Commissioner Anderson, if I may, the $418,000 is for our new technology that we purchased using the CARES funds. And the $3,000 expense is for, we bought sanitized wipes for our entire program so that our volunteers would have to take them with them in their personal cars. So those are dollars from the CARES fund for us to purchase that technology. The use of that technology is to increase our accuracy as well as efficiency around how our routes are distributed, as well as, for example, we would be able to determine if a senior was omitted the day of the omission versus the senior calling us or going through our paper route reconciliation process.
Okay, it appears, it indicates that it's coming from the Meals on Wheels program. So how much is going to be left there, and is it going to affect the program?
Yeah, I think that's just the wording. Let me double check that and get back with you. I think it's just the wording. I don't think it's that. So I'll double check that. It's actually what what Director Whitmore said. So let me just double check that.
This is Mark Abbo. I think Mary Carr is ready to address that issue, if you don't mind.
Mary,
Please.
Mary, please do.
Yes, through the chair. So they're moving money out of the COVID fund and putting it into the Meals on Wheels fund. So they're not taking money away from the seniors' Meals on Wheels. They're adding money into it. Does that explain it?
Yeah.
Okay, I the way it's written is a bit confusing. It says reallocate funding and Meals on Seniors Meals on Wheels. It does say COVID-19 Meals on Wheels.
Correct. So they are reallocating because the COVID funds have already been certified. So all they're doing is moving them, reallocating them from the COVID fund over to the seniors Meals on Wheels fund that they created.
And it says to be reallocated for computer software and computer equipment. So that's I guess what I'm concerned is, are we still going to be able to service the same number of seniors? Maybe is the easiest question, as prior to this, or is it going to just provide us an avenue to buy the equipment, but still maintaining the same number of seniors, Meals on Wheels?
I believe the answer would be yes, if that's correct, because they still get funding from TSA.
Okay, but
With that-
we provide a large share. I think we provide about $500,000 or more, I believe.
You are correct. I mean, Mary hit it. That's what the wording just was just a little confusing. But basically, the COVID fund is a different area than the seniors. So we just moved the COVID money over to this fund. That's it. So it's not taking any money away from Meals on Wheels.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair.
you.
Madam Chair.
We're going to take 4 and 5 together. Any more discussion on that, on those 2 items? We have a motion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock, Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga,
Yes,
motion carries. Moving to item 6.
Madam Clerk, we're going to take 6, 7, and 8 together.
Would you like for me to read all 3?
Any discussion? Yes, 6, 7, and 8 together. Any discussion on item 6? Any discussion on item 7? Any discussion on item 8?
Madam
And I
Chair,
will entertain. Yes.
Madam Chair, just
Yes,
one on number 8. Are we on number 8 yet? That was one of the ones you read off, I think, right?
yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
just a
Yes.
question, if there's anyone that can explain what the 50,000, I don't have the other documentation, but what the 50,000 is, what it's for project consulting services, what that entails.
Hi, this
Okay,
is Jenny
can
Wright,
answer that.
Deputy Registered Deeds from the Registered Deeds Office. All we're doing is transferring funds from regular salaries into temp salaries. We had one of our engineers recently quit, and we would like to keep her on, to be able to consult with the person that took her place.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for 9, 10, and 11.
I
So
will
moved,
make a
Madam
motion
Chair.
to approve. Second.
I'm
Support.
sorry, Commissioner.
I move-
We didn't have a motion of support for 6, 7, and 8.
Move
Oh, I'm
approval.
sorry. 6, 7, 8.
Move approval 6, 7, and 8. I beat y'all.
Supported by Martha G. Scott.
Oh,
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes,
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga,
Yes.
motion
Okay, we'll
carries.
take 9, 10, and 11 together. Any questions on item 9? Item 10? Item 11?
So moved, Madam
I'll
Chair.
enter-
support Anderson.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Please call the roll on 9, 10, and 11.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes,
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga,
Yes.
motion carries. Next
you.
item is item number 12, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2021-35-113, reallocating expenditures in the Juvenile Justice and Abuse/Neglect Fund.
Move approval, Anderson.
Thank you. It's been
Support,
moved.
Scott.
Any discussion? Ms. Porter, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Marecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baydoun,
Yes.
Chair Varga,
Yes.
motion carries. Moving to item F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Thank you. I would like to call on Mr. Mark Abo to make some remarks and also introduce some people that we will be hearing from today. Mr. Abo?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. As you're all aware, Wayne County is going to be receiving $339 million from the American Rescue Plan. You know, the whole situation there is actually rather fluid and moving quickly. We were approached by the administration because they will be conducting certain outreach to the business community, government agencies, and others involved in what will ultimately be our spending plan. So before they did that, or while they're doing that, they wanted to make sure that the commission was apprised in some way of so they can let us better understand their view of the opportunity and how that opportunity will be addressed. So I know that they are also, the administration will also be discussing this at the COW, but they wanted to give us some preliminary information regarding it. So with that, I will ask Khalil Rahal to introduce our guest, who will be speaking more definitively about it.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the rest of the commission for allowing us to come today and talk to you all about the American Rescue Plan. Mark stated it precisely. You know, we're going to get approximately $339 million, and certainly there's no shortage of folks wondering of how we're going to spend the funds. Couple of things I think you should know. One, we have not received the funds yet. I think Huey probably expects within the next 30 some odd days that the first round of funds will be coming our way. Another thing you should know is that we will not get all the money all at once. We will be receiving it in 2 installments. And then you should also know that we have approximately or precisely, it looks like December 31st of 2024 to spend the funds. That is what we know. We know a little bit more than that, and we have some consultants here, and you're going to hear from Jeff Meyers in a second to tell you a little bit more about the funds. But the truth is, Mark is exactly right. It's still a very fluid situation. The guidance has not yet come out on how to use these funds, and I think that's important. And if there is some good news, it's that our administration and this commission and our staff has some experience with this. When we received the CARES Act dollars, we saw that after we received the funds, that guidance came out, not too long afterwards, but it gave us enough time to really strategically use those funds in the most appropriate ways. And I really feel like we did do that to the best of our ability. So in terms of, how are we going to spend the funds, or how we are going to go about spending the funds, I think Mark is right. We're looking to do as much outreach as we can here. We're not just talking to the business community or the locals. We're talking to community colleges, workforce development agencies, everybody that you can think of. We've got obviously a lot of long-standing issues in the county that we'd like to address. But I think that when you think of these funds, the way we like to think of them is Huey is doing a lot of work to see what revenue loss, the county can expect over the next couple of years. Because the very first thing that we're planning on doing is continuing the level of service that we're providing. Certainly, along with that, seeing if there's any additional expenses, taking a look at the restrictions and the guidance when they do come out, and then also taking a look at any other funds that may be coming our way on top of the 339 that have even more restrictions and more dedication to what those funds look like, whether it's in infrastructure, whether it's in housing, or anything else that may be a part of this bill. Because the 339 that we're receiving is only a part of the bill. And I think you're going to hear Jeff Meyers talk a little bit about that. You should know we're also doing a lot of outreach with the governor's office, because in addition to figuring out what the revenue loss or additional expenses are, in addition to seeing the rules and regulations and what additional rules and dedication funds that we may be receiving, we're always looking for ways to leverage other resources. As you know, we're not the only municipality getting this money, right? The state is getting $5 billion. Every one of our local municipalities is receiving money. For instance, the city of Dearborn is getting 48 million. The city of Dearborn Heights is getting 25 million, and so on and so forth. And so the question really becomes, is there an opportunity for us to work together to maybe tackle some of the longstanding issues that we've been facing here for a long time, obviously after, trying to do our best to determine the revenue loss, such and such, and et cetera. We're also reaching out to philanthropy to see, what opportunities we may be able to leverage there. So I say all that to say, we're certainly, we don't exactly know. We're open to any and all ideas that anybody, especially our county commissioners, have. I think, we have proven that with the use of the CARES funds, we've been open to ideas from the commission and looking to put resources in certain directions if it makes sense. And so we look forward to doing that. I do want to invite all the commissioners to our Friday calls. For about a year, I think a little bit, maybe more than a year now, we've been hosting a meeting almost every single Friday with our local municipalities, Chamber of Commerce's, other business organizations. And the idea there is, we're trying to provide as much feedback as possible for programming, given the needs that we have in our community. And I will say they've been incredibly well attended. We've never had less than 50 attendees. I think this last week we had 100 attendees at one point throughout the program. They're an hour long. It's Friday at 1 o'clock. We can send out the link to everybody. And we're using that as an avenue because it's very nimble. It's really well attended. There's a lot of thoughtfulness. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for breakout sessions. So we have a really good routine with it to really absorb as much as we can from the community. And so I invite everybody to come join us on that. I think you'll find it as a worthwhile endeavor. With that being said, I want to introduce Jeff Meyers. He is part of our consultants at Guidehouse. I think he's got a little presentation. I don't know who's handling the screen and the shared screen and all that, but he can tell you a little bit more about the funds that are coming our way.
Great. Thank you, Khalil, so much. I appreciate it. And good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure and honor to be here to be able to talk to you about the American Rescue Plan Act. And my colleague, Gabby Bryant, is going to operate the slide deck in front of you, and we'll go through a few slides, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to answer some questions as well. So I'll just jump in. As Khalil said, there's a lot of money coming. There was $1.9 trillion appropriated by Congress in the American Rescue Plan Act. That's going out. If we can go to the next slide. That money is going to be going out, as Khalil said. Some of it will be coming directly to states and counties and localities. Other money is going to be appropriated directly to federal agencies. And a lot of that money, I'll give you some examples in a minute, a lot of that money will trickle down as well through the states to counties and municipalities all across the country. And then there is a number of funding streams in the bill that are intended as direct relief to businesses and individuals across the country. The $1,400 stimulus checks is one example of that. There's a restaurant revitalization program for which Congress appropriated over $28 billion to be able to provide relief to restaurants. There's a new round of PPP loans to small businesses and so forth. So there's these all three kind of funding streams. The money that will go directly to Wayne County, the $339.2 million that was referenced earlier. There's money coming to the state of Michigan that will find its way into the county. And then thirdly, as I just said, there's money that will come directly to individuals. And so we want to be helpful and useful and help you think about what those funding streams are and how they may be coordinated so that you really maximize the impact of this money and so that it creates really a multiplier effect for the economy within Wayne County. So you can see here on this slide too, the various buckets. They don't all total 1.9 trillion. There's some other money in the bill that didn't fit into these buckets. But we're going to talk mostly about the state and local aid. That's the $350 billion overall that was divided among the states and municipalities and counties around the country. Those are the funds from which the 339.2 billion, are going to come right into Wayne County. But I'll touch on some of the other areas as well. Gabby, if we could go to the next slide. So this is what I was really talking about. Money is really allocated across every sector of the economy in this bill. The state and local money is indicated in the top left of the slide. There's education assistance to schools and so forth, reopening money. There's CDC, the Center for Disease Control, part of HHS, money for COVID vaccination, contract tracing, mitigation, surveillance activities. There's a very large emergency rental assistance program that will give renters, financial bridge to be able to maintain their housing and not lead to housing insecurity as a result of the pandemic. I should note there was $25 billion appropriated by Congress last year under the so-called Consolidated Appropriations Act that President Trump signed before he left office. There's another $25 billion in the American Rescue Plan that President Biden and Congress brought forward. So there's also homeowners assistance, there's mortgage assistance, there's a variety of housing programs in the bill. As I referenced, there's a lot to small business, and I'll spend a couple more minutes in just a minute talking about those. I mentioned the restaurant program, the payroll protection program, there's emergency disaster loans. And importantly, there's a community Navigator pilot project. There's $100 million appropriated by Congress that is really intended to allow local government, state and local government, to basically advertise and make known what the available programs are that can provide relief to individuals and businesses in their areas. And so some of that money will obviously find its way into Michigan and into Wayne County as well. And then there's additional money for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Association, another $50 billion to help pay the claims that will be coming in as a result of the disaster that was precipitated by COVID. There's federal transit money, $30 billion there. There's relief for airports and so forth. So if we could go to the next slide. So just to give you a very clear sense of the uses of the state and local funding, Khalil mentioned this funding is going to be able to be used through December 31st of 2024. Half of it will come within 60 days of the enactment of the bill. The bill, come this Thursday, the bill would have been passed and signed by the president about 4 weeks earlier. So when Khalil said that, there's an expectation that the first tranche of money coming to the counties will be in about 30 days, that's about right. It should be in about 30 days. It could be a little earlier, but probably about 30 days. That's half of the 339.2. The other half will come 12 months later. So as you can see overall, there's really 4 targeted uses for the funds. They're all pretty broad though. And so I think that you all as commissioners can think creatively about how these funds can be deployed within the county to really maximize the impact and address needs that need addressing because of COVID and for longstanding economic recovery purposes as well. So the money can be used to respond to the public health emergency or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to household, small business, nonprofits, or aid to impacted industries like tourism, travel, and hospitality. So this is the language of the statute. And as Khalil referenced, there's going to be guidance issued by the Department of Treasury, as there was with the coronavirus relief funds, last year. And so that guidance, should come relatively soon. The department was authorized to actually adopt regulations as well. So there could ultimately be a combination of, a kind of an interim regulation to help govern some of this, as well as frequently asked questions or other documents issued by the U.S. Department of Treasury, kind of teasing out what some of this language means and how they're going to apply it and how they're going to interpret it. But this is very broad. The second purpose is to provide workers who are performing essential work, and that's defined in the statute, premium pay to eligible workers of the state, territory, or tribal government. So as an example, those who are working in the healthcare area, first responders, think about first responders, and folks like that who are supporting the essential work of during the COVID, by maintaining wellness and safety and the health of the community and so forth. They are eligible to receive what's called premium pay. And premium pay is up to $13 per hour for every eligible worker, up to, in addition to what they are normally paid. So they get their base pay, they get their regular pay, then they can be paid up to $13 per hour more, but up to a cap, a total amount of $25,000 per worker during the public health emergency. So this is a way, so you could think of it as like a hazard type pay. It's not called hazard pay specifically, but it's really serving a similar function. It's really basically rewarding the workforce, including the county workforce that's out there, protecting the public and serving healthcare and wellness in the county during the pandemic. That's the second use. The third use is that it can be used to offset reduction in revenue that the county experienced in the most recent fiscal year. There's some language in the bill that says this money can't offset a tax decrease, like you can't move to decrease taxes and use this money to supplant that. There's already some litigation that's been brought by some states and some states attorney generals about this. So there'll be more to be said about this. I don't know that lawsuit's really going to get very far in terms of what it's doing, but we'll just have to wait and see. In the meantime, you can start thinking about identifying your revenue loss in the last most recent fiscal year as a result of COVID, and what percentage of the 339 million ultimately might be allocated to help replace some of that revenue loss. Lastly, and this is the exact wording of the statute, this money can be used for necessary investments in water, sewer, and broadband. So think about it for a minute. Even though this money can be used by the terms of the statute through December 31st of 24, once you build out broadband capability in a county, that broadband capability is going to be there. There may be maintenance and so forth in the future, but this is really a unique opportunity to really build out broadband or other infrastructure like water and sewer, as mentioned. And I just want to add, just really quickly, all of this money, this 339.2 that's coming to Wayne County under the American Rescue Plan, is obviously separate from whatever infrastructure funds that Congress may ultimately decide to appropriate. President's announced a plan already. He's announced half of it. The other half of it, dealing with families and healthcare, is to be announced within, I think, a week or two. The price tag of that American Jobs Plan, which is separate, is almost is about $2 trillion. That's something that Congress will be taking up in the coming weeks and months. I think the administration is hoping it will pass by the August recess. That's very separate. So even though that bill mentions infrastructure, there is infrastructure money in the American Rescue Plan that's already been approved and that's coming to Wayne County. And that's why you should be thinking about water, sewer, and broadband. Gabby, if you go to the next slide. So, here's some information specifically that you might want to be aware of. I won't read through all of this, but the 7.25 billion for more payroll protection program loans. They've enlarged the eligibility for it, including some nonprofits with less than 300 employees. There are second draw loans now for businesses that got first draw loans. The president about a week ago signed an extension. This second draw loan program was only authorized in the last bill to March 31st, but that's now been extended to May 31st. I believe the president signed that at the end of last week. But that's going to be done. If it hasn't been done, it will be done very quickly. And so businesses will be able to apply through May 31st, through midnight, May 31st of 2021. The Small Business Administration is coordinating this program, and they published some guidance. We're happy to provide everybody on the call with the slides. And when you get the slides, if you click on that link here, the SBA rules will pop up and you can take a look at that. Individuals and businesses that operate movie theaters and live venues with music and so forth there's money in the bill for them. There's also $15 billion for new economic injury disaster loan programs. These will be programs that individual businesses will apply for. So money will find its way into Wayne County through these programs, but it will be due to the application of the business. Gabby, if you could go to the next slide. So before I turn it over to Gabby to talk about kind of governance and coordinating all of this, I want to mention the Revitalization Fund. It's really quite significant. I think the purpose of this program is to keep restaurants that are still operating, enable them to keep operating further. So it's not for restaurants that have closed. It's restaurants that are kind of hanging on because of the pandemic. And so it's for ongoing operations, payroll and rent and maintenance, and even purchasing food and beverages that are ultimately sold to the public. $5 billion of this program is reserved to entities with less than $500,000 in revenue in 2019. And then the balance of the program, about $23.6 billion, is for all the larger institutions. It covers everything, though, from a food cart and a food truck on the street to large restaurant chains. But this is a program, depending on the demand for it in your county, where businesses, restaurants can really pull in dollars to help keep going and help being able to serve the public and operate, keep their operations going. And I mentioned the Community Navigator program, just to mention it again for a second. This is going to allow local government and nonprofits are going to be getting this money to really ensure that individuals and businesses understand all of the resources. So this will help maximizing knowledge within Wayne County of businesses and what they can tap into. They know where to go to apply, they know how to apply, they can get some assistance to applying and so forth. So I know, so thank you, and I'm happy. I'm going to let Gabby kind of conclude the presentation, and then if there's time, we're happy to circle back with some more questions that haven't been put in the chat already. So Gabby, please take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. My name's Gabby. I'm a managing consultant with Guidehouse and doing a project management for the Wayne County COVID response currently going on. If you could move to the final slide, Octavia. Thank you. So basically, we just wanted to give a quick snapshot of how proposed governance model. We work with a lot of clients across the country with trying to kind of understand the restrictions and the best ways to move forward with this new tranche of money coming from ARP. And this is really just highlighting the role that Wayne County and Wayne County Commission will play in kind of making the decisions about how to prioritize and to spend this money. As it's been mentioned, the money has not come in quite yet, but the decisions around how the money should be spent and the decisions around what the priorities are for the county will definitely be localized within Wayne County Commission and Wayne County, making sure that there's transparency and that there is good discussion and good ideas being shared. Also, you'll see the state of Michigan nonprofits and community partners and corporate philanthropic partners as well that should be helping just to further amplify the money that is coming into Wayne County. There are a lot of dollars going to a lot of different organizations. The restaurant revitalization program that Jeff Meyers just mentioned is a really great example. While that money is not coming to the county specifically, it's going to be administered by SBA. The ability for restaurants and local partners to access that money is something that the county can definitely have a hand in by either providing technical assistance through that Navigator program or just using a lot of the lessons learned that we got from the COVID-19 CRF dollars. So being able to kind of leverage that will really be a great way for the county and the commission to interact with the public and additional stakeholders to make sure that that money is being amplified. And then Guidehouse, we will play whatever role, county would like. And for CRF, we've, definitely just kept track of where money's been and monitoring that and just having an open conversation around compliance and making sure that they're falling within the applicable uses of those dollars. So that's really all we have. This is just kind of a proposed governance model, definitely a first draft. So any kind of feedback or thoughts, definitely would love to hear about that. And we will be sharing out the slides to the commissioners as well. And that's it. With that, I can hand it back over, and also we're open for any questions, whether on this call or if any questions need to be emailed to our team. We are more than welcoming any of those questions and more than able to kind of answer anything as it comes along. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabby. And I'm sure, and I know that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No, that's okay.
I was
Go
just gonna
ahead and finish your presentation.
No, I was just going to say, I'm sure there's a lot of questions, and I'm sure we won't have all the answers. And I'm sure that there is a lot of folks who have a lot of really strong ideas of some of the priorities that Gabby and Jeff, mentioned for opportunities for discussion. And I promise there is a time and place for all of those things, and then there'll be more time for that. And we're going to be open to listening and collaborating with any and all ideas that you all may have. But just bear with us only that, the guidance hasn't necessarily come out on it yet. You'll see a lot of, us coaching our answers with a lot of, we'll have to wait and see. But there are certainly opportunities, I think. And I think the very first question that we're going to be asking ourselves is, Huey's doing an analysis with the team to talk about whatever revenue losses we may have. So we're going to be looking at that very, very hard. So.
Okay, I will start it off in this order. If our chair is still on the line, if you have any questions, I will give you the floor.
Good
Chair
afternoon.
Bell?
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon, everyone. Great.
Great.
Good. I only saw a portion of the presentation. I think I put a request in that we have this sent to all commissioners. This is great information.
Yes.
We have our committee of the whole next week. I hope that we can collectively talk about things that we want to see added with this, but this is a great jumping point, and we appreciate the work that was put into this. So that's all that I have now, but I look forward to us really looking at our needs at the county and really focusing on how we can assist the citizens and the residents and the businesses that have really had a hard time during this pandemic. So thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll look forward to the questions from other committee members. Thank you.
You're welcome. I will start it off, and I have a list of all commissioners. I see all your hands. I see Mareki, Baydun, and Anderson right now, but I will check back in a second. I'm really concerned about our IT, and I wanted to know, or at least put on the list of things that I would like to see us consider with our local folk who have the policing agencies, especially since we're having these meetings on Fridays, to give them a food for thought of how each individual policing agency could work with the prosecutor electronically better, so they don't have to bring warrants back and forth by hand. And this is something I think that because of COVID is even more important to have, and that way the prosecutor would have all the information in a briefcase as opposed to shuffling through paperwork when they go into those courtrooms when they are allowed to. So Khalil, I'd like you to maybe put that on a burner at one point to talk to the local government officials on a Friday call down the line.
You got it.
That's one. Thank you.
Can I stop you right there, Madam
And,
Chair? Can I just chime in
Yes.
really quick? Thank you, really quick. Just to that
Sure.
point, I think it's imperative. I think it's imperative that, and I know you're going to do this, Khalil, but I'm just going to echo it. I think it's imperative that we talk to our elected officials to see what enhances to their operations these funds can go toward. This is a great opportunity, especially as we think of paperless, going paperless, doing things more online. I think this is a great opportunity. So please do this. And I know you are already, but I'm just going to say it. Talk to each of our elected officials to see what their needs are, because I think this is a great opportunity to address those. And I won't interrupt again. I'm sorry.
And Madam Chairwoman,
No, that's okay.
We have that bi-weekly call with all the county electeds. You know that on those calls we have mentioned, and you have also encouraged us to mention that very, very same thing on those calls, and we do plan to do that.
Thank you.
And you took the words out of my mouth for the second point, Madam Chair. So I'll move on to my third one. I know that we have a tax relief coming from Dan Gilbert, and we're matching some of it for the city of Detroit, but I'm getting the calls, what about us for the rest of I don't necessarily need an answer. I just want it to be put out there that there are calls from communities now in out Wayne County or out city of Detroit to say, what about us? So I don't necessarily, like I say, need an answer, but I would like to think about that, how we could help those who are in the same boat, losing their homes outside of Detroit.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I will open it up to Commissioner Sam Baydoun, Terry Marecki, Commissioner Anderson, in that order, and then we'll add on. Go ahead, Commissioner Baydoun, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Khalil. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I just want to say this, that this is a historical opportunity for all of us in Wayne County and on the state level to come together and make the largest county in the state one of the best counties in the country. We have a lot of challenges in Wayne County, whether it's roads, bridges, other areas. So, I mean, I have different ideas that we can discuss in the committee as a whole meeting. One of them I can mention quickly right now here, the lead piping throughout Wayne County. We were talking about this before the pandemic. So it's a great opportunity. I'm gonna team up with the cities in my district and see what projects they would like to see that would enhance public spaces, whether it's parks, downtown districts. Each one of us should go back and meet with the local elected officials and let us all try to come up with smart and wise ways to invest this money to make our communities and the cities, the 43 communities in Wayne County, the best in the country. And history will judge us 50 years from now that during this pandemic of 2020, people came together and this is what we have today. So these are my thoughts, Madam Chair, and I look forward to a meaningful discussion on Tuesday or Thursday of next week.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Marecki, Anderson, and McCormick next.
Thank you, Madam
Go
Chair.
ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Khalil. Two things, when we're going to have the committee of the whole on this, and we're also going to, is the committee in the whole also going to have the discussion about the $5 million as well? With the
Yes.
CEO. Okay. All right. I just, and I'm already hearing from some of my elected officials during this meeting, so I will be in touch with all of them and, you know, bringing things to the table as well. So will we be actually doing that in the committee of the whole, or just the presentation first and then discussing what we would like to see?
Can I, I'm sorry,
Sure.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yep.
If I
Sure.
can, I'd like to make a recommendation. And I think this addresses a little bit about what all three commissioners have talked about a little bit already. I really think we ought to wait till the guidance comes out before we start having major hierarchy discussions about policy. And the reason why I say that is because I'll give you a brief example. You know, Commissioner Baydoun says, you know, we have a problem with, you know, lead pipes in Wayne County, and that may be something we want to address. But you all know I like to think about things strategically. We thought about the way we use the CARES Act dollars, and I'm happy to say that under the rules and the time that we had to spend it, we were all together very, very strategic, and it really produced the best outcome for the county and our residents. One thing, you know, so Commissioner Baydoun says, you know, one opportunity I think we got to work on is lead pipes, and he's right about it, and it should be a priority. But if you think about it strategically, maybe the 339 isn't the best set of funds to get those resources. Maybe there's another fund within the 1.9 trillion, or coming down the pipe, if you will, you know, no pun intended, from another bill that might be better suited so that we can use funds with least restrictions in the least restrictive way. And so so we don't know all those things yet. And we wanted to come to you today to be as proactive as we could. And I know there's a committee of whole to talk about, you know, what the county may want to do. And I'm happy to come back to committee of whole and give the exact same presentation for all the commissioners. We're obviously going to send the presentation out to anybody. You all call me any day of the week. We always take your calls. And if there are just general things like, Khalil, I don't know if this is eligible, but you know what? Electronic, you know, IT for our county elected wide officials is a priority, or lead pipes are a priority, or parks is a priority, or workforce development, or infrastructure is a priority. All that is welcomed, and we need to think about that and be doing that now for sure. But really, without knowing the guidance and what's going to happen with some of these other bills, and we have 3 years to spend these funds. One of the things that we did last week was we tried to get to our locals as fast as possible to let them know, number one, we have consultants, you know, national DC consultants on how to use the funds. We want you all to utilize them. And number two, you got 3 years to spend the money. The worst thing you can do is maybe try to spend it as fast as you can. Instead of thinking strategically about how the best way to use it, what other funds might be out there. So maybe you're not double dipping or you're not maximizing, and then how you can leverage the funds with our funds, with the state funds, with philanthropy, with whatever else is out there. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm getting the sense, right, that we should be doing this right now. And I think that's right. I think we need to be thinking about it, but I do think we need to wait for the guidance to come out so that we can do it strategically.
Oh, I appreciate that. And you guys did great things with the money strategically before. And then I just have a comment, and I have not been able to make the Friday meetings probably for the last 2 months, unfortunately. But I talked to a lot of businesses. Mm-hmm. One very concerning thing I'm seeing is people are getting this money, these checks, and even DPS mentioned it today. These businesses that are getting back on their feet are not getting workers. People don't want to work because they keep getting these checks mailed to their house. And unfortunately, I see this pattern that if all this money keeps coming in, how will businesses get back on their feet when nobody wants to work? And it seems to be increasing. I don't know, Chloe, if you hear that on Fridays at all. Maybe it's just the businesses I talk to, but it's a shame, and it's kind of scary, actually.
I mean, I think it's a mixed bag for sure. I think people have a hard time getting workers. I think some people are afraid in certain places to go back to work because of COVID. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I will tell you, what Jeff Meyers and Gabby presented earlier, like, here's what I am dedicated to, and here's what the county executive has asked of us. He doesn't care if the money's coming directly to us. If there is money in that bill, Khalil, team, you figure out how the best way Wayne County can absorb it. I don't know. That doesn't mean, apply for grants from the federal government necessarily. It may mean doing exactly what Jeff and Gabby mentioned earlier. On our Friday calls, we try to provide all the resources that may exist within that bill and help people navigate through our navigation program of how to apply for them and absorb money for small businesses who maybe can't bring their workers back for one reason or another. So we're absolutely dedicated to that.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to the committee of the whole as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson next, and then McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Khalil, I just wanted to ask, it sounds like we don't have clear delineation of what this money can be used for, correct?
We've got some direction that Jeff mentioned. You got
right
areas, but we need the guidance. We don't want we don't want to be audited in the wrong way.
Right, but specifically, I'm talking about infrastructure. I know you touched on it as far as bridges and roads. The need is more than we could possibly do with county funds, and that to me should be one of our top priorities. It's one way. This is a one-time thing. We're other than that it being 2 installments, that it's not going to. We can't count on this, and might give us an opportunity to catch up on some of these things. And
yeah,
the need is great.
See, that's the perfect example. So in addition to our 339, there is $10 billion in this bill for infrastructure on top of the 339. And there's another bill, looks like coming down that Jeff mentioned that he hopes, or that the administration hopes will be done by August. So, I wouldn't say, let's fix the Miller Bridge with our 339 right now when it might be in the state budget. It might be in the 10 billion. It might be whatever plan, so on and so forth. So that's why I say, please, we'll come back to the committee of the whole. We'll do this all again, but just understand we're trying to be strategic.
Okay, if as soon as if you have an opportunity to pass that along to the commission, that we have an opportunity to see what the not only the recommended uses, but what is permitted uses of those dollars, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Khalil, for mentioning Miller Bridge. It should be on top of the list.
Thank you. I am sure that we are going to have Khalil back with us and Mr. Meyers too, very often in our committee, as well as perhaps committee of the whole. Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Khalil. For emergency procurements, I know with the last funds that we received, there are now a lot of the emergency procurements coming through, especially HHS right now. And I want to understand, or maybe clear up that these funds won't be spent that way in a emergency process, I would say.
Well, we have until December 31st of 2024 to spend the funds.
Right.
There is healthcare money on top of the 339. Okay. That being said, if there is an emergency, pipes, I don't know, I'm making it up, right? If something catastrophic were to happen, and for whatever reason, our lawyers and our consultants identify these funds as being eligible as opposed to general fund dollars that the commission can use on anything it wants, I can't promise you I won't come back and do it that way. I can promise you that if I do it, I will come back with an explanation as to why we're doing it that way. But know that we've got almost a little less than 3 years to spend the funds, and
so we shouldn't have a lot of emergency spending because we have a longer period of time. I know some things come up, of course,
right.
But because we have more time than we did for the other dollars that we secured, would you say that it shouldn't be as much?
I would say we're in the middle of a pandemic, never done this before. Can't tell you there won't be as much. I can tell you that it shouldn't be because of the timing of which to use the funds.
Okay. And my other concern is if we can focus on Wayne County businesses and using them and only them in any way that we can. I know that sometimes we go outside of Wayne County, go outside of the state. We have to, because we don't have a contractor in state. But because our businesses are hurting so bad right now, I think we really have to figure out a way to make sure that we work with them, especially disenfranchised businesses, and try to think outside the box and how we can help support them as well. Yeah.
Could not agree with you more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. Any other commissioners that have a question?
Yeah, Madam the Chair, El Hedis.
Yes, Commissioner Hedis.
Yes, I know, I appreciate the presentation, and I think Khalil did excellent job on that. I know all of us, the commissioner, now thinking about what can I ask for my district, and what would qualify, what would not qualify. That question to be answered later on. But based on the function of the county, I would like to see the county give us some priority issues and projects that qualify with the funding. Like that, we eliminate wasting a lot of time and a lot of things that not qualify and go do the work with the municipality. I understand we 42 municipality because Detroit get their funding separately. So I would like, and all of us know for many years I have in my district, issue need to be fixed 50 years ago. Yeah. But because of the funding, because of the environment, whatever the reason is, it's not been fixed. And we hear the people complaining about it every year repeatedly. I hope the county could help us on some of the priority issue we need to fix in the county that qualify for that funding. And then each commissioner do their homework there with their staff, with the municipality and their district. An issue we know it's qualified and we could get some of the funding to fix some of those problems. And we'll wait to see what's the restriction too.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, thank you.
We'll stay tuned to the list. Any other commissioner? Martha G. Scott, do you have? Martha G. Scott does. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's been brought up, but I have a district that has a lot of older homes, and I want a priority on this lead. I know that Commissioner Baydoum has mentioned that, but I have a lot of older homes in that, and I have a lot of children. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to make sure that that is one of the number ones because of Hamtramck, Highland Park, and my Detroit area. There are older homes and we have children there that have been dealt with this lead for years. Even, 15 years ago when I was in the legislature, we were dealing with that, mm-hmm. you know, with the nurses and that coming in and with the kids. So I just want you to know that that is truly a priority. I know businesses need theirs too, but this is health hazard.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, Khalil.
No, it's my pleasure.
I do appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Abbo, you're welcome. Mark Abbo, do you have anything?
No, I don't. I want to personally thank the administration. I thought they did a great job, and I'm sure we'll have many, many meetings in the future discussing how we'll deal with this opportunity that's been given to us.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity.
Thank you. Does our auditor, Marcy Court, do you have any questions that you would like to pose?
No, I'm good for now. Thank you.
I'm trying to make the rounds. I don't want to leave you guys. I see all you guys. I missed you all, so.
We appreciate it.
Thank you for the presentation. Good to see everyone. And we look forward to having more discussions that are a little more detailed. And we're really looking forward to that next 30 days when we do receive the dollars, so we can not only dream, but go and start our action plan. And so with that, I have nothing else. Mr. Newsome, do you have anything?
You're on mute.
I can't hear you. There you go. Can't hear you.
There we go. How about that?
Yep.
How about that? No,
Yes.
no. Only thing I would want to say is just want to reiterate all the things that our consultants have brought before us, as well as what Khalil was saying. Obviously, as CFO, I'm going to be focused on revenue losses, making sure that we account for this money properly, but also at the same time that we address our fiscal health. And so that is, the lion's share of what my focus is going to be, are going to be on those two things. But it's very important to make sure we deploy this money responsibly in the right places and have an accurate account of this money over the next few years, and be able to address any audits going forward. So that's where my focus is going to be. But thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so sure, this is April, so we're expecting the budget around June. I don't want to delve into your issues, but have we talked to our electeds countywide to see what their needs are that we can resolve in the coming up budget, so we don't have to last minute work on amendments to it? So we'd like to see most things resolved within the budget that's going to be coming to the commission, as opposed to having us come in last minute with amendments. Go ahead.
And I'm assuming you're talking about the usage, the normal operating budgets and capital budgets
Yes,
that we go
yes,
through in the normal
yes.
cycle, plus any requests that could be filled with this additional money. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, we appreciate it. So we're still on target for getting the budget around June-ish?
Yeah, end of June is right now. Our project plan has us getting it mid-June. So I would say end of June, 1st of July. Really end of June is where we're targeting, right? Where we're probably going to end up right now.
Okay, I would imagine the longer you put it off a little bit, that you would be able to use more COVID dollars, perhaps, in filling some of the gaps that we can't do through general fund, if my thinking is the same as yours.
Potentially, but yeah, with the idea in mind that we still have to go through the whole process of vetting out the ARP money, making sure that it follows through with all the needs that we've been discussing here in this presentation over the last few minutes.
Understood. Thank you very much. It's been a very informative meeting. I will ask again, commissioners, anyone else has a question or concern that you would like to address to our presenters? If not, we'll move on to the next item. Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Next item, item G, public comments.
Could you please unmute everyone?
Everyone has been asked to unmute themselves.
Have we received any communication?
No communications were received.
Okay, I will entertain from the public, public comments at this time. Anyone in the public wishing to comment, please do so. State your name and then you can begin to speak. Anyone from the public wishing to comment? Anyone from the public wishing to comment? I hear none. Madam Clerk?
Item H, adjournment.
So move, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and supported by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.